Hello, my name is Leon and welcome to another reading of the Elder Scrolls. Today we're going to be reading the Black Arrow Part 2 by Gorgy Gun. I had to, just read the first part because I couldn't remember what happened. It's been a while since I read the first part, and I was like, I don't have the time to read the first part again, so I read a bunch of other books. That'll probably come out after this because I want to do this in order, obviously. Yeah, I was able to read the first part while I was doing something else. And so what happened? So a guy wanted to become a guard at a Imperial dude woman's place in Valenwood. And there's some other friends that he made that are down the road at like an archery school, and there's a girl and she wants to be an acrobat. The circus. That's all I got. But you had to go back. At the end of the book, you had to go back to the residence because something's going on. Yeah, I'm also drunk. Full disclosure. I also have to finish this one more quick before I go home. So yeah, we'll be drinking. How many pages are there? Alright. Fair enough. Alright, let's go. On the last dinner in my employ at the palace, the Duchess, quite surprisingly, had invited the mayor of Maluva and Master Hugomast himself among her other guests. The servants' gossip was manic. The mayor had been there before, albeit very irregularly, but Hugomast's presence was unthinkable. What could she mean by such a conciliatory gesture? The dinner itself progressed along with perfect, if slightly cool, civility among all parties. Hugomast and the Duchess were both very quiet. The mayor tried to engage the group in a discussion of the Emperor Pelagius IV's new son and heir, Uriel, but it failed to spark much interest. Lady Valeria, elderly but much more vivacious? That's it. Than her sister, the Duchess, led most of the talk about crime and scandal in Eldenwood. I have been encouraging her to move out to the country, away from all that unpleasantness for years now, the Duchess has said, meeting the eyes of the mayor. We've been discussing more recently the possibility of her building a palace in Bolivia Hill, but there's so little space there, as you know. Fortunately, we've come to a discovery. There is a wide field just a few days west, on the edge of the river, ideally suited. Sounds perfect, said the mayor. The mayor smiled and turned to Lady Vivilia. When will your ladyship begin building? The very day you move... What? The very day you move your village to the site, replied the Duchess of Wardo. What? The man turned to her to see if she was joking. She obviously was not. Think of how much more commerce you would bring to your village if you were close to the river, said Lady Vivilia jovially. And Master Hugomast's students could have easier access to his fine school. Everyone would benefit. I know it would put my sister's heart to ease if there was less trespassing and poaching on her lands. There is no There is no poaching or trespassing on your lands now, your grace, frowned Hugomast. You do not own the jungle, nor will you. The villagers may be persuaded to leave, but I don't know. But that I don't know. The villagers may be persuaded to leave, but... Wait, no. The villagers may be persuaded to leave. That I don't know. What a weird way of saying that. But my school will stay where it is. The dinner party never really recovered happily. He and Master and the mayor excused themselves, and my services, such as they were not needed in the drawing room, where the group went to have their drinks. There was no laughter to be heard through the walls that evening. The next day, even though there was a dinner planned for the evening, I left on my usual walk to Moldova. Moldova? Yeah. Before I had even reached the drawbridge, the guard held me back. Where are you going, Georgie? Not to the village, are you? Why not? I pointed to the plume of smoke in the distance. A fire broke... Wait. No, sorry. He pointed to a plume of smoke in the distance. A fire broke out very early this morning and it's still going. Apparently it started at Master Heromaster's school. Looks like the work of some travelling brigands. Blessed Stendhal, I cried. Are the students alive? No one knows. But it'd be a miracle if any survived. It was late and most everyone was sleeping. I know they've already found the master's body, or what was left of it. And they also found that girl, your friend Polassa. I spent the day in a state of shock. It seemed inconceivable what my instinct told me. That the two noble old ladies, Lady Vivilia and the Duchess of Water, had arranged for a village and school that irritated them to be reduced to ashes? At dinner, they mentioned the fire in Moldova only very briefly, as if it were not news at all. But I did see the Duchess smile for the first time ever. It was a smile I will never forget until the day I die. The next morning, I had resolved to go to the village and see if I could be of any assistance to the survivors. I was passing through the servants' hall to the grand foyer when I heard the sound of a group of people ahead. The guards and most of the servants were there, pointing at the portrait of the Duchess that hung in the centre of the hall. There was a single black bolt of ebony piercing the painting, right at the Duchess's heart. Curious. Very curious. I recognized it at once. It was one of Miss Acken's arrows I had seen in his quiver, forged, he said, in the bowels of Dagathar itself. Wait, I thought Dagathar was a person. Might also be a place. Sorry, I drank a bit too much Robin Cook there, without correctly swallowing. My first reaction was relief. The Dunmer, who had been kind enough to give me a ride to his palace, had survived the fire. My second reaction was echoed by all present in the hall. How had the vandal gotten past the guards, the gate, the moat, and the massive iron door? The Duchess, arriving shortly after I, was clearly furious, though she was too well bred to show it. But by raising her web-thin eyebrows, she wasted no time in assigning all her servants to new duties to keep the palace grounds guarded at all times. We were given regular shifts and precise narrow patrols. The next morning, despite all precautions, there was another black arrow piercing the Duchess's portrait. So it continued for a week's time. The Duchess saw to it that at least one person was always present in the foyer, but somehow the arrow always found its way to her painting, whenever the guard's eyes were momentarily averted. What is this, a weeping angel? A complex series of signals were devised, so each patrol could report back any sound or disturbance they encountered during their vigil. At first, am I recording? Sorry, I just had to ask that question. At first, the Duchess arranged them, so her castellan would receive record of any disturbances during the day, and the chief of the guard during the night. But when she found that she could not sleep, she made certain that the information came to her directly. The atmosphere in the palace had shifted from gloomy to nightmarish. A snake would slither across the moat, and suddenly her grace would be tearing through the east wing to investigate. A strong gust of wind ruffled the trees on one of the few trees. A strong gust of wind ruffled the leaves on one of the few trees in the lawn. What? Sorry. One more time. A strong gust of wind ruffling the trees on one of the few trees in the lawn was a similar emergency. An unfortunate lone traveller on the road in front of the palace, a completely innocent man, as it turned out, brought such a violent reaction that he must have thought he had stumbled on a war. In a way he had. And every morning there was a new arrow in the front hall mocking her. I was given the terrible assignment of guarding the portrait for a few hours in the early morning. Not wanting to be the one to discover the arrow, I seated myself in a chair opposite. Clever. Never letting my eyes move away for a second. I don't know if you've had the experience of watching one object relentlessly. I have. But it has a strange effect. All other senses vanish, that's true. Especially when you're drunk. That was why I was particularly startled when the Duchess rushed into the room, blowing the gulf for me between her portrait and herself. There's something moving behind the tree across the road from the gate, she roared, pushing me aside and fumbling with her key on the gold lock. Why would you open the door? Is she the one doing it? I don't know. I really want to know what happens, but we're almost there. She was shaking with madness and excitement. The key did not seem to want to go in. She said. I reached out to help her, but the Duchess was already kneeling, her eyes to the keyhole. Isn't an arrow going to go through the keyhole to kill her? To be certain that the key went in. It was precisely that second. It was precisely that second that the arrow arrived, but this one never made it as far as the portrait. I actually met Miss Akin years later, while I was in Morrowind, to entertain some nobles. He was impressed that I had risen from being a humble domestic servant to being a bard of some renown. Bard? He turned into a bard? Okay, well, whatever. He himself had returned to the Ashlands, and like his old master, Hero Master, was retiring to the simple life of teaching and hunting. I told him that I had heard that Lady Bavaria had decided not to leave the city, and that the village of Malola had been rebuilt. He was happy to hear that, but I could not find a way to ask him what I really wanted to know. I felt like a fool just wondering if what I thought was true, that he had been the one behind Portia's... Wait, hold on. This is where the twist happens, and my favourite part of these books. What I thought was true, that he had been behind Portia's tree across the road from the gate every morning that summer, firing an arrow through the gate, across the lawn, across the moat, through a keyhole, and he drew a portrait of the Duchess of Waters until he struck the Duchess herself. It was clearly an impossibility. I chose not to ask. As we left one another that day, and he was waving goodbye, he said, "I am pleased to see that you are doing so well, my friend. I am happy you moved that chair." What chair? Wait, what chair? Hold on. Hold on. Okay, so he was behind. Okay, so he would. Okay, so he would be behind the tree, and he would shoot an arrow through the gate, across the lawn, across the moat, through a keyhole, and into the portrait. And then one day he actually killed her. What do you mean? I'm happy that you moved the chair. What chair? Was there a chair in part 1? Maybe. Wait, go back to part 2. Yeah, okay, so he was given the assignment of guarding the portrait, and then he moved the chair to the opposite side because he didn't want to get shot. Smart. And then okay. Alright. Sure. That was a good story. I like that. There was this has been a reading of the Elder Scrolls, The Black Arrow Part 2 by Gorgie. Wait, is his name Gorgie? Is this an autobiographical story? Could have sworn it said his name. Hang on. Go back. I swear they said his name somewhere. Shut up, you know what I mean. Did they say his name? Yeah, Georgie. Oh, yeah. Okay, so this is autobiographical. Okay. So that was the Black Arrow Part 2 by Georgie Gunning. This has been another reading of the Elder Scrolls, but for now, my name is Leo, and I'll see you next time.